Welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in, hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my Skyline. This is our 300, 240, and we like Nissans. What we're going to be doing today is changing out the whole brake system on the Skyline. This is going to be the part 2. There is a part 1 out already if you haven't seen it. I will link it in the bottom. Go watch it after this video. But what we're going to be doing is a somewhat budget upgrade for a Skyline GTR. And what we have to do is drain the master cylinder. We'll evacuate it. And we have a special tool for that. So we're going to put a tube down in there. We're going to suck it out, get as much out as we can, and then we're going to start at the back, pull all the fluid out of the system, take the brake lines off, calipers off, rotors off, and then we have to retrofit the kit. The fronts should bolt straight on. The rears, we're going to have to do some trimming, which I don't remember if I covered it or not, but we'll get into that. And then put the 2-piece rotors on, which I'm so excited about. And yeah, just go through the process. Bleed the brakes eventually. It sounds real easy, but this is probably going to take forever. Knowing my luck, I have terrible luck. I dropped my wheel the other day. Yeah. So let's pull this fluid out and get started. And thanks for tuning in. Everything else off. Brake fluid is completely drained out of the whole system. There's going to be a little bit in here just because of the incline, so we got a rag to catch it. We also just got a brand new hoodie from Redcon, so thank you. We also got a bunch of protein powder and vitamins, so you got to take care of yourself whenever you're taking care of your babies, so that way you live longer to take care of your babies. I like that. So we're going to take this off. The only bolts in the world, I swear, that are 11mm are on Nissans. I don't know why. Usually it's a 10, a 12, a 13, but for some reason these are 11mm. Whatever. And then down here should be 12s, so this should be a quick, easy pull this out, bend those out of the way, put the new one in, and then go from there. As you can see, we have the HFM, which is GK Tech master cylinder for R32, and we gotta put it in. Just twisty. I forgot to put a dab of grease on it. That's what I have to do. Just put a little tiny bit of grease on the splines here. That way it just keeps it from being seized. You don't want to do a lot. We're just going to do a little twisty. Got the master cylinder in. I'm going to show you a couple things because it is a pain in the hind end, and you would think, with it being new, a new part, engineered by an engineer, you know where this is going, that it would be a straight plug and play. But no. What you have to do is that if you have ABS, you have to block this middle port, which means you have to rebend this brake line, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but you have to bend it and risk kinking it. I got close to kinking it, if you can see. You can't really tell, but it goes down, twists, and then comes over. Anyways, it's a brand new master cylinder. I don't know why they just couldn't make this the N1 ABS. Because if you think about it, if you have an N1 ABS master cylinder, aka you don't have ABS, you're going to be relocating your brake line or making a custom brake line setup for a biased most likely a biased setup, which means 50-50 split in the front, and then have a biased T in the back for each rear wheel. Why they didn't make that middle port the factory replacement? Because if you look, the factory POT is right there, and on their website it says to block off the middle port. I'm confused because this has a spot for here, which is where we just plugged into, but I don't have a middle port. The middle port I have is this on the OEM one, which is where it's leaking, because there's no, I don't know if you can see or not, there's nothing down in there, and there should be a plug. So I'm not genuinely confused, but I'm confused on why they did that, and they just didn't make it line up where the original one did. I'm sure there's a reason, but if it's like anything else, the engineer was told to design it. They designed it before even looking at it. They designed it, product got made, and then feedback happens, which does not make sense. But here's what it is. It's in. A little sneak peek. Well, it's not a sneak peek because the rotor's right there, but all the calipers off. Calipers are off, the front and the rear. There's the rears. And I have to trim this brake shield like this and trim this one like this. Alright, step one of fitting two-piece rotors on your R32 GTR. Should be the same for 33s and 34s. The 32 uses the same e-brake configuration as a 350Z. Fun fact if you didn't know that. But let's get into it. Step one is going to be obviously take the calipers, brake lines off, and then you're going to have to either take your hub out. I didn't do that. I just cut the brake shield off. And then next we will have to put the two-piece rotor on. That's real simple for the two-piece rotor. In terms of putting the rear caliper on from a CTSV, there is a video on ECP's Facebook page. You have to join the page, and then there's like hyperlinks underneath all the information. You can also find it on YouTube of how to fit it. What you have to do is you have to take one of these brackets. You have to put two holes through it. I'll demonstrate it. But you have to put two holes through it, and then you have to put the rotor on. You have to leave the rotor nearly on the end of the threads. Once it's on the end of the threads, you can kind of push it on, and it'll push the bolts through it, and then you can put nuts on the back end of it. You do have to cut your rotors, not the rotors, your calipers. You can see there's also the instructions on how to do that on his website, but you just want to go, you want to follow this line of the casting. So you can take these apart if you want to. I didn't, but you just cut that there, and that's essentially for that bolt to go through there. That's really all it's for. So let's mock these up, see how it works. Alright, after you've got your two-piece rotor unpackaged and everything, and you have your calipers cut, you're going to want to grind them down to the point where when you put the bracket on, at the lowest point, a bolt can fit through there. But you also got to be careful that the brake pad isn't showing past this point. So the brake pad clip shouldn't be able to be seen through that hole. I also went ahead and ground a little bit out because it's raised, so that this way the bracket can sit flush on it, because before it was kinking it up like that. Now it's not. So that's ready. The other side is on. I'll show that in a minute. That's what we were just working on. But then you're going to want to put your M10 bolts here with the lock washer. And then what those two bolts go through is going to be this bolt and this bolt. You're going to put a nut on the back side of it. And then you'll have to push the rotor on with it. If you have two-piece rotors, you can get through here. If not, you'll have to have this backwards. And then you'll just need some basic tools. Two 17 millimeters, 19 millimeter wrench, and a 19 millimeter socket, or just a 19 millimeter wrench. You have to use the wrench to get to the bolt that's going to be right here because of the lower control arm. Getting there. Takes a lot. It takes a lot, but it's worth it. So you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So just keep going at it. It looks so good. You'll have to do a little trimming on the front. I took off about an inch of a 45-degree angle on the brake shield, which looks like here. It might be about 2 inches, but I cut off about that much on the top and the bottom just to clear the bracket. For the bolts listed under ECPs, I can get a better description of that. I just don't want to mess up the description right now. But there's a lock washer in there, and then a stainless steel washer and a locking nut, and I just torqued it to 95 foot-pounds. That's what the directions say, is to put the lock washer behind the bolt and then the stainless steel washer behind the nut. So I'm assuming it's for spacing reasons. So that's what we're going to do. The other side is on and it looks amazing, but I'm taking you along with this one for a tutorial. So this is how you do the front. The fronts are real easy. Trim the brake shield, put the bracket on, put the rotor on, and then put the caliper on. 2-piece rotors on the front. Put the calipers on just to get them off the floor and just kind of put them there. The wheels do fit. Obviously I'm going to film it, but the wheels do fit. You have to have at least 18-inch wheels, but the barrel of the wheel, which is, imagine a line that's on the inside, like right here, is 18. It's not actually the diameter of the rim, it's the diameter of the barrel inside of the rim. So if you're shopping for wheels, make sure you keep that in mind. These are relatively low, 18s on the inside. They're kind of thick and they have about 2 inches of clearance, so you should be fine. You should be fine. I would confidently say maybe some 17s would fit too, but I don't have any 17s, so go with 18s. Go with 18s. They'll fit. Let's get these on. So we got the rotor on, and we also got our lug nuts on. It's not torqued down or anything, but it's on so that this can't wiggle. And then you're gonna have 2 radial mounts, one there, which is dictated right here and right here. Let's get that on. Let's show you what it looks like. These things are massive. Like, that's my leg. Also, if you ain't crocking, you ain't rocking. Thanks, Brandon. That one's for you. Radial mount there, and then it is centered pretty well. I'm going off of these dowel pins that hold the brake. This side looks like it might have like a 1/16 of an inch, maybe more. It's also not secured down yet because I'm using this for mock-up purpose. But yeah, take a picture with your caliper because this is wild. I'm so happy for this. Our dust shields, which go and look like this, and they go right here. It's three tiny Allen heads, and that way it keeps the dust there. Let's put that on. Let's put the pads in, and then go from there. Coming to you live from inside a R32 wheel hub. We got the one caliper all the way on. What we ended up doing is using the rear set of brake lines that I explained earlier, which are actually for the front, and then we had to drill out the mounting hole, which is this. We had to drill that out to accommodate to the stud, and we routed that like this. The banjo bolt on first, put it up through here, mounted it there. That's not going anywhere, and then it's secured down here too. The reason I did that is because whenever you go full lock either way, The movement here is next to none. Movement out of the brake line, essentially, because then it can rub against something. And under high pressure, whenever it is pressurized and worn through enough, it will burst. And you don't want that, because once you have no brake fluid, you don't have brakes. So definitely take some time and plan out how to route your brake lines. I'm a perfectionist, and with this, you have to be. It's not worth it. So be safe and don't die on track. That's the goal. But yeah, let's get the other side done. And this took a little longer than expected. That's okay. And the other side should go through real quick. Alright, we have all the brake bleeders are tightened down. We have all the brake lines on and tightened down, master cylinders on and tightened down. What we have to do now is put fluid in it and check for leaks, bleed the brakes, and go from there. What we have for fluid, and what we're going to be using in all of our cars, because it's nearly the best, is Motul 5.1. It's racing fluid, and it's also, I believe, what comes in R35, so R32 is proper. And now we gotta put that in that. Let's get to it. So obviously the car is on the ground, indicating that it is running and driving, which it is. A summary of it: I had issues bleeding the brakes. I think since it's just a fully custom setup and everything is an OEM and just a combination of everything, I bled the brakes about 7 times doing the regular method, and then I had to use a reverse bleeder. So essentially I had to go from the brake bleeder and push the fluid from there up into the master cylinder, and that got all the air out of it. What I would do differently, or what I'm going to do, is upgrade to an R35 brake booster, or just completely delete the brake booster and get like I think it's Chase Bays just came out with a kit that is a brake booster delete, but it also retains the 7-to-1 ratio, so you're not really losing that added force. So that is something I would do differently, or what I'm going to add on to. But other than that, they stop great, as you can see in the beginning of this video, and I will put that again after I'm done talking. But to summarize, 350mm 370Z Nismo rotors, or Z1 2-piece rotors, AMG 8-pot front calipers off of a 2003 to 2006 SLK 550 AMG. It cross-references over to 10 different models, I want to say. And then ECP brackets on the front and rear. And then on the rear is Camaro, Charger, SRT8, and CTSV rear calipers. So 8-pot, 4-pot, and 350mm rotors all around. The Z cars use the same, I guess you could say the e-brake hub, the internal hub eccentric ring, as the Skyline does, so that just bolts straight on. Obviously they're new, so you have to readjust them. But other than that, and then Motul 5.1 fluid, and BM57 master cylinder, which is GK Tech. And that's the full brake system. The one thing I'm going to do when I do the brake booster is I'm also going to get Brembo pads. I have just generic Rock Auto pads right now, just for testing purposes and to make sure that everything bolted up, lined up. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on brake pads and them not work and me not be able to, essentially I couldn't return them because I put them on. So that's the goal, is R35 booster or booster delete, and then OEM Brembo pads, and it should be fun. It is fun right now. It stops very, very good. The beginning of the video, I had to time it to line up with the camera, so I wasn't even full lock, or else I would have stopped before that. I might do like a review after this, because this is 2 months, 3 months after they've been done, longer than that. So we have an event at VIR this weekend, and hopefully that really gets to try them out. ABS still works great. The pedal is soft, so I had to put shims in the brake pads and to bring up the pedal because I didn't want to over adjust the push rod in the master cylinder. But other than that, they work great. That is how you install a custom brake kit on a R32 GTR and using a updated system. So as always, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.